Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by 1976 Olympic boxing gold medalist and CEO of Fight Time Promotions, Howard Davis, Jr. Howard, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Mike. How's everything?
Everything's great. Howard, let's go back to after you had retired from boxing, but before you started training some guys in MMA. What were you doing in between that time when you retired from boxing and when you started coaching MMA fighters?
I was a computer technician in New Jersey, doing very well, making decent money, and when you finish a job, and at that particular time I was working in a hospital putting in mainframes, computers, and the hospital was almost a mile long, believe it or not. When we finished with that, you get laid off for a couple of days until they call you for another job. So in between being laid off for about 2 days, I get a call from a friend of mine saying that American Top Team was in its embryo stages of getting started, and they needed a striking coach, and would I be interested? I was making decent money in New Jersey as a computer technician, so the first thing that came to mind was, what are you going to pay me? So when I heard the news of what they were going to pay me, I said, I don't think so,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, boxing has always been my first love, and teaching how to box is way up there, close to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, look, I'll try for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, and if it doesn't fit, into my, into who I am or financially, because they gave me a lot of amenities. I can travel for free. They gave me a car, so it made up for what I was lacking in finances.
Mm-hmm.
So and plus, a free place to stay. I didn't have to pay rent, so it made up.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me try for a week or two, and after 3 days, Mike, I knew what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was almost 10 years ago.
Now, an interest in mixed martial arts, did you have an interest before, or was it through coaching that you got interested in the sport and learned about the sport?
Well, let me go back a few years. I remember seeing some of the craziness with the UFC when they first came out.
Right, sure.
I thought it was a joke at that time. I didn't think it was. I thought it was different, but you could tell that the rules were a little askew, and they didn't really have it developed yet. I remember, can't think of the name of the fighter, but this guy was a professional fighter, boxer, who came in the cage with one boxing glove on.
Sure.
And that's it.
Art Jimerson, yeah.
And then they didn't have a weight class, so a guy that's 170 pounds to be fighting a guy that's 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was a little bit of a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But when Dana White got involved, around the time I came to American Top Team, the rules were in place and things were much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it was a joke then. I watched these guys; these are incredible athletes. I still think they got a ways to go in terms of trying to make their weight properly. I see a lot of MMA fighters, a lot of them struggle trying to make weight, and most of the time they go overweight. You don't see that too much in boxing. Once in a while you see it, but you don't see that too much in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things that need to be straightened out. And I think managerially wise, I don't think they have it together either, all these fighters. About getting a manager and really sticking with that manager and somebody to guide their career.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not too many MMA managers out there that are that good that I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things that are a little behind in MMA that needs to be catched up.
On the manager side, do you think that if somebody from the major sports, the football, the baseball, the basketball, if somebody, an agent like that comes in, that could make a difference?
I don't know if that can make a difference. And it's the opposite way in the embryo stages of boxing, where a fighter starting out doesn't look for real big money. He just wants to build up his record. And then when his record is built up to a certain point, then you will probably get a promoter that's very interested in you, especially if you're a good fighter. And that's when the millions come in. But in MMA, I see a lot of their fighters, well, I want this amount or I think some of them are a little narcissistic when it comes to what they think they deserve and what they think they should get. A lot of the fighters and a lot of the managers, because they don't really know. A lot of fighters don't know what they're worth, and they try to manage themselves. So it's very difficult to do that, and I think you need a manager to really offset that and sit down with a promoter or, somebody and really negotiate in terms of purchase. But when a fighter does it themselves, and I've tried to do it myself, and that's how I learned the hard way, that you really don't know what you're worth, and sometimes when that happens, you'll either get less, far less than what you think you're worth.
Now, Chuck Liddell, when did you start working with him, and how did this all come together? Did he seek out your help? Did you reach out to him? How did you start working with him?
No, his trainer came to me at the American Top Team and asked me could I train Chuck Liddell for his next fight. I think at that time Chuck was he lost a couple fights, and they wanted to try to get something new, And so John Hackelman, his trainer, came to me and said, look, how would you feel if we asked you to train Chuck for his next fight? And I said, no problem. So I flew out to California, San Luis Obispo, and for almost 2.5 months, I trained him. And then season 11 of the Ultimate Fighter show, Chuck called me. He called me personally and said, look, I want you to be my striking coach for the show. So that was interesting in itself. I've never seen so much craziness in my life. But it was really fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. And then right after the show was over, he asked me again. He said, I want you to train me for the next fight. And that's how it came to be.
Howard, are you still affiliated with American Top Team, or are you solely just with Fight Time now?
I'm solely with Fight Time, but my alliance with American Top Team is still strong. I'm good friends with everybody down there, from Laborio, all the top trainers that are down there, and a lot of the fighters I'm good friends with. So some of the fighters are on our show,
Sure.
But yeah, I'm still affiliated that way. In terms of training fighters, I don't train fighters anymore. I'm full time with Fight Time Promotion. My wife and I, Carla, we're working extremely hard, putting this company together and making it work. And we started out very humble, in the beginning. We started out with nothing, and we still have a long ways to go, but we're making strides, leaps and bounds. And I think we're going in the right direction. And I feel really good about Fight Time Promotions, and we're making baby strides in some aspects of the sport, and some aspects of the sport, we're making big strides. So I feel really good and confident that the future for Fight Time Promotion is good.
Now, I want to dig deep into that. Let's start at the beginning. Why did you decide to start being a promoter of MMA fights?
Well, it's kind of funny. The why, it definitely didn't come from me. It came from a very strange source. My wife.
Really?
We were at an event, an MMA event in Orlando, Florida. Who one of the fighters I was training happened to be fighting on that show. I can't remember the promotional company, but it was very high production, really well produced show. And after Richie Antonito, who I was training at the time, after he fought, my wife, we sat down in the audience to enjoy the rest of the show. And my wife just blurted out, "We can do this." I looked at him. I said, "Do what?" You know, I thought she had some kind of strange epiphany. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe she's going insane a little bit. Just to point out that we could do this. It sounds a little strange to me.
Yeah.
I said, "Do what?" And she said, "We can do this." And she kind of took her hand and finger and circled around the arena. I said, "You mean be a promoter?" She said, "Yes."
Mm-hmm.
So she had an epiphany, and I thought it was a little insane, but at the time, a couple of weeks later, that's when Chuck asked me to train him. When I came back from training Chuck, all the paperwork was already done and finished, and the legalities of the sport that try to get your promotional license was already done when I came back. My wife jumped right on it like white on rice. That's right. She jumped on it. So when I got back, everything was done, and so I went out trying to get sponsors, and our first sponsor was JM Lexus, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And our first show was very successful. We had our main event, Jeff the Snowman Munson, for our first show, which I thought was incredible. He found out I was doing the show, and he called me and said, I would like to be on your show. I'm very good friends with Jeff. I've been knowing Jeff for almost 10 years. And for him to ask me to be on the show, knowing that, we didn't have that kind of money to pay him, because, he demands anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a show.
Right.
And we came nowhere near that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you what we paid him, but it was minuscule compared to what he normally gets, but I have a lot of respect for him to do that. He didn't fight an easy guy in his first fight,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
What's the name of the guy he fought in his first fight? I can't remember the name of the guy, but the guy had something like almost 300 MMA fights.
Was it Travis Fulton? Was that him?
Yes,
yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's not an easy fight.
No,
for
definitely.
the kind of money I was paying him.
Right.
And that was our first production.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. We had a full house. Matter of fact, we had to turn people away. I'll tell you a little bit of a story that went into that. I guess about maybe an hour and a half before the show, I forgot the ring stools, the cage stools.
Mm-hmm.
And, I went into panic mode, because I had to drive about almost 10 miles, or 20 miles altogether.
Right.
Back and forth. And it was getting very close to rush hour. I panicked. And then it started raining. I mean, raining, hard.
Mm-hmm.
You could barely see in front of you.
Sure.
Anyhow, when I got back, the rain stopped. When I parked the car in front of the Club Cinema, it was our first venue, I saw all these people 1 hour before the show started. And I'm like, oh my God. I walked in, there was a line 1 hour before the show even started. And it was a long line, and there were people inside the lobby filled up, and I was like, oh my God. This is my first show, and I went in a little bit of a panic mode,
Right, right.
And that's my little scary tidbit of that story behind the scenes. But, we didn't make any money off our show, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing we did do, Mike, is paid all our bills. And the first thing I said to my wife, I said, I don't care if we make money. As long as everybody else gets paid, we pay the venue, we have enough to pay fighters, so forth and so on. And this is real funny, and I like to tell a story because when I say we started from humble beginnings, you'll understand why when I tell you. We finished paying everybody off. Mm-hmm. My wife and I split $37.
Oh.
So when I tell you humble beginnings...
Humble beginnings. That's right.
Very humble beginnings. But
right.
Wife and I, we said, look, this show was a success, whether we can make it monetarily. Mm-hmm. But everybody got paid. All our bills were paid. So that was the first step in knowing what to do,
Right.
And we've been successful ever since. we like to make, but every show we have, our bills are always paid.
Right.
We never, somebody coming to us, hey, when am I going to get my check? Never had that. We pay our bills, and I'm very proud and about saying that, that every fighter got paid, and nobody has to come to us and get a check, 30 days later. We pay our bills right on time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
One thing I'm very proud of.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Every dollar that's going out, there's a dollar coming in, so that's good. Howard, one thing I wanted to ask you was, had you ever dabbled in the promotion side of things, maybe in boxing, or had this been your first go-around trying to promote a fight?
Well, believe it or not, I retired in 1988, and I made a comeback in 1993, and my trainer, he didn't know I was training secretly, and I had lost that 30 pounds. When I retired from boxing, I weighed 135. But when I retired, I was walking around at 193. Believe it or not.
Right.
And, I wasn't fat or anything like that, but just big. So I lost like 33 pounds. And he knows that I was losing weight. But he didn't know I was training secretly. And I was 38 years of age at the time. So I went to the gym, and, I hadn't sparred in 5 years. And I sparred with a, top-level professional fighter. Went 3 rounds, and everybody that saw me was shocked, that I looked that good, that I performed that well. But then, only went 3 rounds.
Right.
I knew I had a long way to go. So about 3 weeks later, I called my trainer up, and I said, I want you to come to the gym, and I want you to watch me work out. And he said, work out? I said, you see all the work that's off of me, right? I said, I've been doing something. I've been training. Oh, anyhow, he went to the gym and he watched me work out, and I sparred with 2 high-level fighters that were contenders. Did extremely well at a new weight class, 160, and felt good. Even at 38, but he says, hey, let's start a promotional company, and that was my first time doing it. I was promoting myself, which was very difficult to do at the same time, especially when I was the one that was going out and getting sponsors. So that was my first inkling. I didn't dabble as hard as I am today, because my trainer was doing most of the work in terms of getting the fighters. I didn't dabble in that at all in terms of paperwork. I just went out and got sponsors because I was a known face of the company, so they thought it was a good idea, and I go out and get sponsors. So that's what I did.
Oh.
Went out with a suitcase and briefcase and suit and tie and paved the streets.
Oh, I see. Now, Howard, I know you guys do an amateur series as well. Altogether, how many shows have you promoted?
Altogether, we did very close to 30 shows, amateur-wise. We're on our 12th show, professional. But we did a show last night. Matter of fact, we did a 12-fight show last night in South Beach, a place called Club Play. We've been in there over a year now, and this is it'll be our 23rd show. In November, it'll be our 23rd show at Club Play. We run the longest running shows in any other promotional company in the state of Florida. We're the most consistent, very proud to say that, the most consistent promoters, in my humble opinion. I don't know if I'm being humble or not, but that's the word we got back from the commission that, in 2013, we already got our professional shows in line already. We already signed a contract for 5 shows for next year. And no other promoters doing that. We put on our shows early. We're confident enough to know that we're going to... And we make sure that when we do our dates, that it's not surrounded by some of the professional athletes out there, or professional teams out there. So we try not to run into the Heat's games or the Marlins games. When we put on our dates, we try not to surround ourselves by any other team.
I see. Howard, when you started promoting these fights, what was something that you thought was going to be very, very difficult and ended up not being so bad, and what was something that you thought was going to be easy and it turned out to be harder than you thought it was going to be?
might be easier than what it was. We thought things were going to be easy.
That's a good answer.
We thought everything was going to be easy.
Yeah.
You know, we can promote, we can go out and put out flyers, and it's so much more complicated than that.
Yeah, everything is kind of complicated. Trying to get sponsors, which is probably one of the most difficult things to do. Because without sponsors, you can't have a show.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to pay for the show. I think that getting the fighters at times gets difficult. Some of the fighters get hurt, then you got to look for other fighters to fill in that gap. So that's difficult at times and nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you sit out a contract and you ask the fighter to sign the contract and give it back to you the same day. And sometimes the fighters won't give you the contract until the week of the show. So sometimes it gets difficult with that. Sometimes trying to negotiate with so-called managers to affect their managers. And I've been around, managers from boxing almost 40 years. And sometimes you hear these guys that are new and newborns to the sport of negotiating. And some of the things they try to negotiate, you have to laugh. You always want to be respectful. And sometimes you got to tell people, hey, that's not the way it goes, and that's not what fight time is going to do. Irregardless of what you think, you can take your fight and take it someplace else, but we're not going to do that,
Right.
But, and sometimes my wife and I we just laugh at some of the things that people ask for, or some people that some people do, or some of the fighters do, or some of the managers do. We have to laugh and have some comic or comedic aspects of promoting,
Right.
We have a lot of fun doing this stuff.
Right. Since Fight Time 3, all of your shows have been held at the War Memorial Auditorium. Is this because it's really close by to your home, or is it because, they're real flexible with dates, and you said that if you're trying to avoid Marlins and Heat games, you have to be flexible and work around that? What's the reason for being at the War Memorial?
I think all of the above. One of the things we have with the War Memorial Auditorium is flexibility that we probably wouldn't get with any other venue.
Mm-hmm.
They've been great there to us, and we're very honored to be there. And think about the places. The place has been around since the 40s. It's historic.
Mm-hmm.
It was built for the armed forces. These guys that protect us. So this place is an historic place. Other promoters have been there. Don King, other various promoters that are famous have been there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a place that hasn't been wanted by other promoters and other fighters.
Did you ever fight there?
No. I'm from New York.
Oh, yeah.
I came down here 10 years ago with America's Top Team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been down here almost 10 years now.
Mm.
And Florida is my home. Love it down here. And you got to remember, Mike, when I came down here to start training the fighters at America's Top Team, it was March in New Jersey where I was living at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was freezing. It was like maybe 2 or 3 below zero. And when I walked up the plane here in Miami, it was 85 degrees. And I said to myself, so, man, you can't get nothing better than this. And
Right.
here we are, close to November, and it's, yesterday it was 82 degrees.
Right.
And I'm telling some of my brothers and sisters that still live in New York and New Jersey, with the weather like this down there, and they can't believe it. What other place can you wear shorts all year round?
Not too many places.
Oh, I'm from New York and New Jersey, man. When it gets cold in New York and New Jersey, it's cold. It doesn't mess around there when it gets cold.
Right.
But down here, it's just a different atmosphere, because if I want the fast pace of New York, there's places down here where you can go if you like that kind of pace. If you like the food from New York, there's places down here that you can get the same kind of food,
Right.
So, I don't know, the culture down here, many cultures down here, so you can get anything you want down here.
Mm-hmm. How big is the War Memorial? How many seats does that venue hold?
It's just about 2,200 people.
Mm.
It's very intimate. It's not a real bad seat in the house. We put our VIPs on the stage where they're a little above the cage, and that gives them the eyesight to really look at the cage in a different
Mm-hmm.
We have a full production team. We put our fights on CSS, Comcast Sports Southeast, which is viewed by anywhere between 4 and 7 million people. And like I said before, Mike, we're trying to move in the right direction. We're doing it on a small scale, but we're still moving like we're training. We're not stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy in the direction that we're going.
Mm-hmm. Do you also double as the matchmaker, or do you leave that up to someone else?
No, listen, we're not going to, if we hire a matchmaker,
Mm-hmm.
that's his job. At times, we may suggest a few things to the matchmaker, but, if we're paying him, then he has to do his job, and we have a good matchmaker in Roger Paul, so we're very confident and very pleased at the work he's done thus far. Mm-hmm. And no, we don't bother him. Mm-hmm. We may make a few suggestions, promoters do that, but for the most part, we let people do their job. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do your job, then we'll start questioning what's going on, and if it keeps going wrong, then we have to let you go. But for the most part, we let people do their job.
Mm-hmm. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is just an observation, but if I'm way off, just correct me. It seems like you guys are okay with being a feeder show, and in MMA, that's a dirty term. If some promoters hear that, you'll get slapped in the face if you say that in front of them, because a lot of them don't feel that they're a step down. But I don't know, a feeder show, it's not a bad thing, because there's all these guys out there, whether they're an up-and-coming guy or maybe a veteran who's fallen on hard times and needs to be built back up. They need a place to go, and I think that that's kind of your model. You've had guys like Wilson Govea and all these other guys who were once in the big show, but then you've also got these younger guys who you've tried to help out and get them fights. Am I kind of on the right trail? Do you guys embrace that feeder show role?
I've never heard anybody call us a feeder show. Mm-hmm. It must be other promotional companies calling us that. Mm-hmm. But I don't care. I don't care what they call us. Mm-hmm. We're putting on good shows, and I always tell my wife we're a promoter's fighter, a fighter's promoter. Mm-hmm. And, we're being asked by fighters to be on the show. Mm-hmm. If we wasn't a good show, we were not putting on good fights, fighters would not come to us. We're not going around asking fighters to be on our show. Fighters are coming to us. Mm-hmm. And not only that, we have a great amateur division that we take a lot of our amateurs from our amateur shows or amateur division that want to turn pro. And a lot of these fighters are very talented, like Jason Jackson, who in my opinion, probably going to be one of the superstars tomorrow. This guy is incredible. He's 6'1", 170 pounds, and all around, he's only been doing the sport for a year and a half, and if you saw the guy fight, you would think this guy is a veteran. I mean, incredible. Good stand-up, good groundwork, good defensively, just all around, know how to kick. I don't know where this guy came from, out of space. So, we took him from our amateur division, and now he came right from our amateur division right to our pro division. So no, we're building up a lot of fighters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And a lot of these fighters are loyal to us, and we're loyal to them. So no, I mean, I don't care if they call us a feeder,
Right.
I really don't care. I really don't know what that word means nothing to me.
Right.
Our thing is putting on good shows, and if fighters want to fight, and we think they deserve to be on our show, we'll put them on it.
Right.
Jeff Munson was on. How many people can say Jeff Munson has been on somebody's first show?
Not many.
Not too many people.
Right.
Jeff is a world traveler. He's been with us 3 times. He's asked us 3 times to be on the show. Mm-hmm. And we didn't give him any easy opponents.
Right.
But and we got Jessica Aguilar. You can't call her a feeder.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know. Look, the other promoters saying that we don't compete with any other promoter. We don't mention. My wife and I, like a lot of promoters will go to other people's shows promotional companies and put out flyers. We never did that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to say that. We do put out flyers, but we won't go to other people's venues to do that. You know, I don't believe in that. I think it's unfair that when other promotional companies do that, you're trying to hop on or piggyback on what they're doing. And I think that's wrong. I think if you have a good brand, market your brand the right way. And my father would say that if you do something you like, you'll make money at it. So we're doing something we like. We're very honest. Not everybody's going to agree to what we're doing. And not everybody's going to like us. But I remember my father always said to me, you know, they may not like you, but make sure they respect you.
Right.
And that's my motto. It's okay if you don't like me, but I definitely want your respect. You know?
Right.
And if I can get your respect, to me that's everything. Because I remember one time I listened to somebody on TV was talking about this head mafia guy. And he said, oh, he's well liked around the community. And then one guy was brave enough to say, well, everybody fears him. If I was somebody, a boss or something like that, I wouldn't want to be feared. Because if you're feared, somebody could do something to you. You know?
Right.
But if you're respected, that's the main thing you're looking for, respect. And that's what we look for, is respect. You know, not everybody's going to like what we're doing. You know, Mike, you can't please everybody. And,
Right.
and we understand that, my wife and I. But we try to get respect. And that's my motto and my wife's motto.
Right. Your next event, Fight Time 12, coming up on November 2nd. You got a great main event between Wagner Rocha and Mike Bruno. Howard, what other fights on this card should people be aware of, and fights that you think, you know, are going to be fan pleasers?
Well, you got Mike Bruno's brother, Steve Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
He's the co-main event. He's been in the UFC 3 times. He's a veteran of the UFC. Incredible striker. Incredible Muay Thai boxer. He's an all-around athlete. Very strong. Very hard puncher. He's been on our show once before. This is the second time on our show. We're glad to have him. The Bruno brothers are amazing guys. If you ever hear them talk, you would think you're listening to the WWF or the WWE. The way they talk. And that kind of hype I enjoy, even though, you know, I was a sort of a introvert, quiet kind of guy when I was fighting. But to hear that kind of freshness from fighters, it reminds me of the time when Muhammad Ali was doing his grandstand work. We have Randy Barroso, who's fighting Daniel Golightly. That's going to be an incredible fight. And we got Charles Rosa, who's a phenom as an amateur. This guy's won everything. You know, so he's fighting. Got Jason Jackson on our show, who's been on our show from the very beginning of his career, his professional career. Jason Jackson is fighting a guy by the name of Michael Johnson, who won Fight Time Promotions Division Championship. He won a belt in our amateur division. He's a tough guy. And the good thing about these two fighters, both of them love to stand up. So, and if you look at Michael Johnson, you would think he's maybe 230 pounds. The guy is huge, but he comes in at 170, but if you look at him, you would never think he weighs 170. A tremendous puncher. Jason Jackson, like I stated before, tremendous, ground, good stand-up. So look for a good stand-up between these two guys. And both of them can punch. So, don't go out and get popcorn while these two guys are fighting, or go out and get a beer or something like that. Otherwise, you can miss it.
Right.
So we got some good guys on the show. This is, I've said this before, but I think this is going to be our best show. And it's our last show of the year. And I'm excited
Howard, thank you for being so generous with your time. But just a couple more questions I have. I want to ask you about some fighters. First, we'll start with Dean Thomas. He's one of your commentators for Fight Time. He was supposed to have a fight at Fight Time 7, but he got into a freak, fluke, whatever you want to call it, car accident on the way to the event. Is it a possibility that we could see him fight under your banner?
Well, he's been fighting for other organizations, and it's kind of weird to me that he hasn't come to me and asked. I hope sometime in the near future that I would love him to be on Fight Time. Just to let you know, Dean is really like a son to me. And whenever we're together someplace, you think he's my son. So,
right.
Dean is probably one of the great guys of this sport. He's the ambassador, should be the ambassador of this sport. He's one of the good guys of the sport, man. And I love him, man. And when we first started out, the first person that came to mind to be our color commentator, was Dean Thomas. And when I asked, he said, "Coach, I would love to do it for you. I'm your man. I'm there." And in the beginning, we couldn't really pay him much. He didn't even care,
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to pay me anything, Coach. I'll do it for free. I said, no, you won't do it for free. But here's what we have to, here's what we can pay you for it now. But eventually, your check will get a little bigger. And now, we pay him what he deserves.
Right.
But, Dean, I would love to be on our show, Mike. I think he's an incredible fighter, incredible stand-up. I trained him when I first came to American Top Team, and I thought he was one of our best strikers, Matter of fact, a lot of people don't know, I got Dean Thomas 2 professional boxing matches, and he won them both.
Right.
So, to show you how good and what kind of heart he has, he's fought 2 professional boxing matches. Also, he was on the same show as Dean, and had 2 professional boxing matches too, was Jeff Munson.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Munson won both of his fights. Believe it or not, won by knockout. And Jeff is not known to be a puncher, but for some strange reason, he knocked this guy out.
Yeah. I really enjoy watching those videos you guys do after the events. You and Dean do them after the fights, where you recap the event that just happened and you look forward to your next event that's going to take place. I really enjoy seeing those, so I hope you guys keep up doing those.
It's called our post-fight interviews, where he'll interview me right after the fight, asking me what did I think about the show.
Right.
I don't know when he asked that question, what do you think I'm going to say? We'll always have a great show.
Right.
But, he has to ask that question.
Right. Another fighter I want to ask you about, Rich Antonito. He was just released by the UFC. He also works for you with Fight Time, and you've also trained him in the past. Is there a possibility we could see him fight for you?
Yes, he said he wants to be on our show, but, I don't know what other organization might reach out to him, so I'm giving him time to digest what he's going through, because that was a little bit of a shocker to him that they released him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know the backstory behind it. They asked him to fight, the UFC asked him to fight, could he be ready in 2 weeks?
Right.
And he was like 25 pounds overweight at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So his initial reaction was, excitement, of course. I guess he spoke before he realized how much weight he had to lose. So he called him back and said, I can't lose the weight. It's just 25 pounds is a lot of weight in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So right after that, they cut him.
Now, another fighter, we've been talking about him a lot, Jeff Munson. Is it a possibility that he could come back and fight for you? Because I believe his fight with Tony Lopez, that was actually a title fight. I think it was for the ISK heavyweight title. Is there a possibility Jeff could come back and fight for you?
Yeah, we're negotiating with Jeff now. Hopefully sometime next year, he'll defend his title. Yeah. But it might be a little discrepancy because he's with M1 now, so
Right,
I don't know.
right.
Maybe we can work out some kind of deal with M1, release him for one fight. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff definitely wants to defend his title.
Also,
That's all I can say.
oh, sorry. Next guy, Wilson Govea. Is it a possibility we could see him back?
I'm not sure what's going on with Wilson. There's been rumors and I've been so busy, I haven't really taken the time to give him a call to find out what's going on. The last I heard that he was going to fight as a heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to fight at 185 anymore. Or 205, excuse me.
Right.
He wanted to fight as a heavyweight. That's what he feels comfortable at. And I guess he didn't want the Raiders of losing all that weight anymore.
Right.
That's the last I heard. And haven't reached out to him. I'm very good friends with him. He's one of the first guys that when I first came to America's Top Team, he's one of the first guys I trained also. So I've been knowing Wilson almost 10 years also, just like Dean Thomas and a lot of guys from ATT.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, something I might call him today.
Do you have any plans to do more women's fights? Because Fight Time 8, your main event was Jessica Aguilar versus Patricia Vodanik. Do you plan on doing some more women's fights?
It's a little difficult to do women. We're not going to count it out, but the market is not there for us right now.
Mm.
When we had Jessica, that was like, that kind of fell on our lap a little bit. But it's kind of difficult to find the right components, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's nothing down here,
Right. Now, you mentioned Jeff Munson. He's going to try to come back and defend his title, but that's the ISK title. Do you plan on having your own belts, a Fight Time belt for the professional guys?
My wife and I have been talking about that, and that is definitely something in the works that we might do. We're very successful with our amateur division doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been working out really good with that. I can see that in the near future doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely on our minds, been on our minds, doing something like that, yes.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, you said that you're comfortable being in South Florida, but maybe 2014, 2015, do you guys see possibly maybe not leaving Florida, but maybe going to different parts of Florida? Do you see expansion there?
Well, our goal is to travel around the country, not just stay in Florida.
Mm.
But for now, it's almost like somebody that's trying to get their 25 fights in before they get to a big promoter.
Right.
We're still learning the business. We're still building our franchise and our brand. And before we get out there in the world, before we compete with the big boys, we really have to have our stuff together. And not to say that we're not going to be with the big boys. We definitely will. But when we finally do get there, I want to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be ready just like a bride with a white gown. So I don't think we're quite there yet, but we are making strides, small strides of getting there. My wife's background is not promoting, and my background is not promoting, even though we're both very familiar with boxing and the aspect of boxing and how to put something together like that. But MMA is a little different. But I want to learn all the nuances and aspects of the sport in terms of promoting. And when we do get on a bigger stage, if you will, we're ready.
Mm-hmm. Howard, real quick before I let you go, do you have a Facebook, a Twitter, a website, any place where fans can go to stay up to date on what you and Fight Time has going on?
Just go to FightTimePromotions.com. Everything is on our website about upcoming fights, little tidbits and stories about who we are as a company, my wife and I. So Fight Time Promotions is on a steady train, if you will, and we're making little strides, but we're making strides. and they recognize me as a boxing man. And when I start talking about MMA, it's a little confusing at times, and a little bit of a dichotomy, if you will, about what I'm doing now. And I am, more than MMA, I'm a boxing man. But I believe in the sport. And I really enjoy the sport, and I see the potential.
Mm-hmm. Howard, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
Mike, it was a pleasure, and you asked the right questions at the right time. And some of the questions that have never been asked me in terms of being a promoter. So I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you. And,
Thank you.
Yep. Have a great day.